Oh, hey, how you doing? It's me. Welcome back to the channel. It's me. Oh, you don't know me? Oh, well, if it's your first time, I'm Spikey Lee Mother Farnsworth. And welcome back to the Pacific Northwest Family Channel. Now, why is it called the Pacific Northwest Family Channel? Well, that's a good question. Because once upon a time, this was a collaboration between myself and my family. I don't know why I did the quotes there. It's literally my family. It's Mom Marie, it's Low Life, the Professor, and Pop Smurf. Um, it's still true. All of that's still true. They've just sort of taken a break, I guess. I don't know. Is anybody out there? Hello? Hello? Well, apparently not. But anyway, you got me. And I know I've taken I just looked at the studio page. I've taken like a 5-month break. Sorry about that. Sorry if you're from Britain. Yeah, I took a little bit of a break because I don't know. This channel's not very big, and I don't get paid for this. This is just like a hobby. This is just like stuff I like to do occasionally, and so that's why we're doing what we're doing. But yeah, sorry about the 5-month break. I'm going to be posting some more stuff, more car tent. Hey, that's probably a good title for it because it's car tent, whatever. More of the car tent is coming up because I like cars. That's like my favorite thing. And then some other stuff too. Maybe more product reviews. Maybe even more recipes. Who knows? Because it's a kind of a lifestyle channel, and it's whatever I want to post about whatever, right? It's whatever the family wants to post. So, shout out to you, family. Why don't you join me on this here channel and post some content? Huh? Maybe? No? Okay, not so much. All right, whatever. But anyway, y'all got me. And I'm going to post another video today. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be a lot of me talking about what's been going on in my life, in my garage, more like. Yeah, that's today's video anyway. But I've got some other cool stuff coming up, I think. So, you know, if you like that kind of stuff that I post, keep watching. Watch this space. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm rambling now. So enjoy this video. It's going to be long-winded, I assure you, because it's going to be mostly talking. So if you like talking, hey, all right, brother. All right, brother. Yeah.
What's that?
All right, later. Okay, so if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know about the CRX, you know where it started, where it came from. Basically, long story short, I bought it from a guy and a gal who I think had, their father-in-law had a towing yard, and they had an inn to get cars from there. Long story short, they didn't know what they had, so they sold it to me cheap. $2,900 what I got the car for. If I hadn't got it, it probably would have been headed to the junkyard or been abused even more. So I'm glad that I was the custodian for a little while. But long story short, it's an uncomfortable, somewhat impractical car. I was using it for commuting and I wanted something more comfortable. It's not comfortable on 100-degree plus days without any AC, and I started to think about my options and maybe possibly giving it a better home to someone who could appreciate it as much as I did, if not more. And that mission was successful with the next owner. Here's what I thought about replacing it with. Let's backtrack for a second. I got some feedback from my brother Lowlife, some of you know, thinking, oh, imagine if you just would have kept the CRX and all the money you could have dumped into that and all this stuff, and rather than getting the TT in the first place. And like I said, I was more interested in comfort and somewhat practicality, you know, just being comfortable in my commute. And the TT was a bit more practical. It was all-wheel drive. It had a drop top, which was a bonus, but the AC worked. Air conditioning, leather interior. It was a bit more refined. So there you go. That's kind of why I got rid of the CRX. And I only have a 2-car garage, and I wasn't getting rid of my Accord. So here we are. Just to be clear, getting rid of the CRX wasn't an easy decision for me. I went rounds with this, and what it boils down to is it's a 30-plus-year-old car, right? With parts that are very hard to find, very rare, expensive, and made of unobtainium for the most part. And I'm just not interested in doing a full resto on a car that's this old and, you know, addressing problems like brittle wiring and things that it needed. So that was another reason I got rid of it. I don't need the headache of overpriced parts from Honda hoarders and things like that. I'll get a newer platform and enjoy that much more. So that's the other thing. So it's a great car, but it's got an owner who loves it just as much as I do, like I said, if not more now. And you know, so good on that. You know, I mean, that's all I could ever want. And you know, like I said, I was thoroughly enjoying the TT as well. But if you're watching this video, you probably know something's up. So that's the purpose of this video. Okay, so real quick, let me just first say that I was a damn fool for getting rid of the TT. I dumped a lot of money into it. I had a lot of fun with it. It was a great car, very comfortable, and somewhat impractical, which is one of the reasons why I really liked it, honestly. And I kind of regret getting rid of it in some ways, and I should have kept it, especially with all the money I dumped into it. Basically, whoever gets their hands on it now is very lucky, because I basically dialed it in and pretty much made it a perfect car, very reliable for many years to come. All of the maintenance had been addressed, pretty much 100% by the time I was done. The only thing that it would have needed in the near future was AC work, and I didn't know what that would have cost me, but it was a great car. I love German engineering. That was it checked a lot of boxes, and I had a lot of fun with it. It did need a lot of paint work, a lot of body work, but other than that, it was damn near perfect. And yeah, I'll be the first to say it. I was a damn fool for getting rid of it. But sometimes the stars align, and you check and see what's out there, even though you probably shouldn't, which is what I did. And well, a car from my past kind of haunted me, and I needed to bring it back. Okay, bet you didn't know I already had one of these. If you check the very first video on this channel, entitled, I think it's entitled What Seattle Looks Like in 2020, you will see I was driving one of these. It was a 2019 in the same color, same colorway, pretty much the same car with a few subtle changes that they added for 2019. But yeah, check that video. I am inside that car filming. Anyway, the subject of that video is what Seattle looks like, and it wasn't titled what my 2019 Civic Type R looks like. Anyway, long story short, I had one. The car haunted me because it's the best front-wheel drive car I've ever driven. In fact, it's probably the best car I've ever driven. And I never forgot about it. Some unfortunate events happened and I didn't have it for a while. Got rid of the 2019 and it was unfortunate. Don't really like to talk about it. It was painful. So I'll leave it at that. But this car haunted me and I looked on the interwebs and I found it. This one in particular is a 2018. It was, some collector had it and he drove it home from the dealership and never drove it again really. So I was able to pick this up, basically new old stock, a 2018 here it's now 2024 obviously if you're watching this. And it had 62 miles on it when I purchased it. So yeah, pretty cool. The stars kind of aligned. I couldn't pass it up. I mean, I was happy with the TT, as you know, and I was doing big things with it, and well, big things to me anyway. And I really liked that car. I got it all dialed in, and then I made the mistake of kind of seeing what was out there, like I said. And I don't know if you would call it a mistake, but you know, it was like the stars aligned. Here was this car in the same color that I had all those years ago and that I had missed, and I want it again. And I can't stress it enough. It's probably the best car overall in terms of handling and just speed and the way it makes you feel when you drive it. It's a special car, as it should be. And I've always wanted a Type R, a real one. Now, the CRX was close. It was kind of in that forbidden fruit flavor, meaning it had the JDM B16, and they didn't start doing that until 1989 was like some of the first VTEC stuff Honda ever really put out, in the Integra XSI, RSI, and the CRX SIR, all back in 1989 in Japan, but that car never came to the States. So yeah, it's kind of the granddaddy to the Type R. And but anyway, I always wanted a Type R, like a real one, and they didn't come out until 1997, I believe, in the EK9, which is kind of the Mac Daddy Type R of all, you know. But even now, if you were to get one now, you know, 30 plus years later, an EK9's going for like probably 30 grand for a nice example. So, you know, for around the same money, and I'm not going to say how much I paid for this one. It was a lot, trust me, because you're not going to find another one with that low miles in the whole country. I dare you, but at least not at 2018. But for almost the same money, you'd have to pay to get an EK9. And you know what? They're not any better of a car, I bet, than this. So there you go. And I already kind of sampled the forbidden fruit, having the CRX that I had with the B16 swap. So, you know, I got to taste the forbidden fruit. There it was, you know, and it was cool. And I think a lot of people don't know or even realize how closely related that era of B16 was related to the Type R, especially the gear ratios and things like that. Mine had the short gears. Yeah, so I mean, it was a special car, and the CRX will always be missed for that reason. But you know, it was time to move on to something that I could actually get parts for. You know, people don't talk about it, but here's an example. This is what I wanted the CRX to look like ultimately, but just that front clip alone to get those wraparound headlights one piece, the hood that bulges up instead of down like a USDM, the wraparound turn signals, the open air dams in the front bumper, the side markers on the fenders, you know, all these differences. Just that front clip alone goes for like 4 Gs plus, if you can even find it now. And then you know, you'd have to deal with painting it and refurbishing it to get it up to snuff to even put on the car. Next, here's a couple of examples of what I would assume is the Mugen body kit, Mugen, however you want to pronounce it. Just that body kit alone, I think it's made of ABS or FRP maybe, But back in the day, I'm not even really sure, but if you could find a real one, that's 10 grand for like fiberglass and or plastic. 10 grand just for that body kit, if you can even find it. Nobody reproduces it that I know of. Yeah, it's crazy. Here's a special edition that they made in Japan. I think it's called the Exclusive. It had tan interior, and you'll see the glass roof. Now, people are retrofitting these glass roofs on them. They had this nice bronze glass in Japan. Really cool, really sought after. Just the last one I found that was just the glass roof, cut out like this example here, was almost 3 Gs just for the glass roof. It seems to me that you could import a whole CRX SIR from Japan yourself for cheaper than actually building one with these Honda hoarder prices. It's ridiculous, and it just kind of killed my dream. That first one, that red example that I showed, is kind of what I wanted the CRX to look like ultimately, but I'm not going to spend damn near 20 grand just to make it look the way I wanted it to look, with old parts. I mean, I'd rather, have new parts. I wish there were aftermarket manufacturers that could reproduce this. In the future, I imagine that we'll get 3D printers that are cheap enough or accessible enough that we could 3D print our own parts and reproduce things like that from the past. So it's not like a 57 Chevy where everything's metal. It's plastic stuff and it wears out over time, which is kind of unfortunate. But, these are the cars that I love. This is what I grew up with and I thought was cool back in the day. So that's just a little taste of the love affair I've had with Honda, but it goes deeper than that. I've had a lot of Hondas, and there are a lot of special ones, and I don't think it gets much more special than the Civic Type R. Now, this one in particular, the FK8, has aged very well for me. Initially, I didn't like it because of all the fake vents, and I actually kind of vowed not to buy one. But after driving one, I couldn't ignore the fact that just how good the car was, and it's that good. Let me explain a little more about the design and what I think. And so one of the things that I'm really surprised of all the reviews, I think they really nailed it across the board. All these car YouTubers, I think they nailed it as far as their reviews, all except for Doug DeMuro. He's a hater, and I don't know why, just in this car particularly. But fuck you, Doug. Doug DeMuro hated on this car big time, and maybe just because of the fake vents and the looks, and he didn't like it. It's very polarizing, I will admit. But how come nobody talks about the inspiration of this car? They wanted it to be outrageous, obviously. They wanted it to stand out. And really, it reminds me of one of my favorite car of all time. Like, if money were no object and I were rich, if I were Jeff Bezos, it's the car I would get, and that is the Ferrari F40. Now, there's a lot of reasons. I mean, all you have to do is look around. The exhaust screams F40. No other car has a center-mounted exhaust with 3 tips. Never had, that I can think of. It's the only one. The spoiler, for obvious reasons. The exaggerated duct on the hood, but looks like a stretched out NACA duct. Hello, Ferrari F40. The fender flares, the front fender flares, how they bulge out like that. Again, Ferrari F40. How do people not see this? How do people not talk about this? Where do you think they got the inspiration for this car to be so outrageous and so beloved, but maybe not so well received because of the fake vents? Now, I'm told that it's a little more, it's more aerodynamic with those vents closed. They were just mainly for looks. And believe it or not, the one, if you look at the car head on, the vent on the passenger side has a little hole in it, and people are always asking, what's that for? Believe it or not, that's for the horn. I used to sell these, so that's why I know that. But yeah, Honda thought that was important to open that up for the horn, nothing else. So yeah, I mean, yes, the fake vents are, kind of a crime, but this has really aged well for me, and the design has really grown on me. And I just love it now. And in fact, I prefer it over the FL5. The FL5, they went a little too conservative. And it's because I think they listened to all the hype and everybody bitching about how wild this car looked, the FK8. And they really tamed it down. Now, in a way, I kind of appreciate that. But, because I think it was kind of a step in the right direction. They just, again, kind of overstepped, I think. And it looks too plain. It looks like any normal Civic. If you take off the fin, then it it looks like a normal Civic hatch to me. Maybe a bit wider if you really look at it, but a little too conservative. And if you're going to get something like a Civic Type R, it should feel special. It should be outrageous in some respects. It should really make you feel special. And this car does. It delivers on all accounts, especially the way it drives. I can't think of a car that drives better than this in almost every way. This car just really exceeds my expectations. And that's why I had to have it again. It haunted me, and I knew what it was, and I couldn't ignore the fact of this deal. Now, there were other cars I considered, and we'll go over those briefly now, but and my reasons for thinking it. But ultimately landed on the FK, and I couldn't be happier. If a car was made for me, aside from the F40 that I'll probably never be able to afford in my lifetime, probably, definitely. I think it's the FK8. It's finally time for me to have a real Civic Type R, and this is a real one. And man, I can't say enough good things about it. If you're doubting me, I say go drive one. It'll change your life. Real talk, it'll change your life. Go drive one. But anyway, here were the contenders in order of kind of how I thought of them and what else I was considering. Now, the first car I considered was the GR86. Surprise, surprise. I didn't like the first generation, but the second one has really been growing on me. I like the looks and what they've done with it. It's just a good looking car and quite fun to drive. If you haven't driven one of these, also, you should check it out. Front engine, rear wheel drive. It's a Boxer 4, so center of gravity is nice and low. It has a limited slip differential, 6-speed manual. What more could you really want in a car? And it's affordable, somewhat. So yeah, it's pretty much, you know what this car reminds me of? A Honda Prelude. This is everything I wanted the Honda Prelude, the last generation. I wanted that to be, with the H22 and the the dual overhead cam VTEC and the super handling, but I wish they did super handling rear wheel drive like this car has. It's everything I wanted that car to be. Big displacement, 4-cylinder, nice and torquey, and rear wheel drive. That's kind of what I always wanted the Prelude to be and what I thought Honda should have done with it, but they never did. I guess if you wanted that experience from Honda, you could probably get like an S2000 or something. But I think this car just delivers. I can't think of too many things that this car doesn't have that I would want, really. Maybe a sunroof, but the CTR, the FK8 doesn't have it either. Neither does the new one, the FL5. No sunroofs to be had. So therefore, I did also briefly consider the Golf R, because the Germans, they appreciate customers like myself who like luxury items as well as performance. I don't know why that this has to be this stupid little gimmick where the hot version, the hot hatch, has to delete options like a sunroof. I'm a sunroof guy. I wish if I could get one with my Civic Type R, I would. But it's kind of forgivable because it's just such a damn good car that I like to. Also, look at this, drifty things. So rear wheel drive, you can do drifty things, even 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, you can do that. I did that in the TT even, and during the winter time, and it was fun. So yeah, I was actually wanting to go back to rear wheel drive for this reason. It's, yeah, it's a hoot. Lots of fun. Front engine, rear wheel drive. That is the sports car recipe. Yep, another car that I considered was the ND3 Miata, and specifically the RF Club Edition, as like you see here with the body kit, the BBSs, the Brembos, and the Recaros. But I mean, although a good looking car, it is a small car. Now, I love it. I think it's great. It's so fun to drive. Again, front engine, rear wheel drive, limited slip differential. Like, what more could you really want? Well, space. It's just a bit too small. Like, it would wear on me, just like with the TT. I love the fact that it was impractical, but this can't really be my only car. And I kind of need two cars, but which I have 2 cars. I have the Accord, but I don't drive the Accord on a daily basis. That's for my other half. Pretty much, I drive the other car, the fun car, right? So, which the Accord's kind of fun too, but not in a sporty way. I can explain. They tuned it. It's not nowhere near what the Civic Type R is like. If you want a sporty experience, they fixed all the problems with the Accord in the Civic Type R. I think the Accord should drive more like the Civic Type R. I think they should have done, especially the stick shift like I've got. It should have been more like that, but they didn't. It was a missed opportunity. They tuned it for somebody who's never driven a stick shift before. But anyway, I digress. Look at the interior of this Miata. Isn't that nice? It's a nice place to be, but it's tight, man. It's real tight. It's a cramped, tight place to be. It's even smaller overall, a smaller package than the TT was, if you can believe that. So yeah, it's nice, and I would have thoroughly enjoyed it. And some people swear by it. I mean, they swear it's the best car ever made. Well, I just don't think I would like it on a daily basis. I think it would wear on me, the fact that it's just a bit too small to be comfortable, really. I think it would have worked short term, but yeah. Again, you can do drifty things in a Miata. You can do all the cool things in a Miata. They make supercharger kits, turbocharger kits, you know, basically anything you can think of. The aftermarket support is unreal for both of these cars, the GR86 and the Miata. Both of them come a bit underpowered, in my opinion. It's just not enough, not for these days. And another reason I kind of overlooked them. Another random car I was considering was the Jaguar F-Type R. The first generation that was just, well, the first iteration of it that was just rear-wheel drive. I was really considering it. But I didn't do it for whatever reason. But yeah, kind of in the same ballpark, believe it or not, of money that was put down here and spent. So I know, kind of crazy to think, but you know, it would have been a nightmare as far as probably maintenance, I'm thinking, and from what I hear anyway, it can be. And then, you know, fuel economy is something that I pay attention to as well. Let's face it, the Saudis are rich enough, aren't they? I don't need to give all my money to them, right? Brother, fuel prices are just crazy. So yeah, that was one of my considerations there. I don't know, man. Maybe in the future I'll get a big V8. I mean, I kind of want a Z06 vet too, maybe like a C6, you know. These are all considerations, but yeah, kind of what I was thinking this time around, but I don't think I went wrong with the FK8, man. I'm really satisfied with that car. It's a great car. If you don't believe me, go out and drive one, and then call me a liar afterwards. If you don't believe me, let me know in the comments if you think this wasn't the right move. But for me, I think it was. It's way more practical than it seems on the outside, although it is a 5-door hatch. I mean, how can you really go wrong? But yeah, I'm really enjoying it, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and my explanation. Hopefully it was thorough enough to let you guys know where I'm coming from. Let me know in the comments, what would you buy today with your money and why? Especially if it's different from the Type R. I mean, I'd like to hear from you. All right, guys. Well, again, as I said, I'm probably not going to take another 5-month break. So I'm glad y'all are back to watch the channel, and I'll have some more stuff for you very shortly. Thanks for watching.